Yeah, and then we'll send them the copy, like a clean version. Yeah.
Okay, ready, and I'll send you guys.
Oh, I put it over there.
Property manager. Hi, my name is. I'm about to be on, so I will send you guys where you can watch it on Instagram Live. I was like, no, I'm all sweaty.
So right here, you guys can see your camera. So just like, like this is a live one, and then you'll see me switch over here. Don't wait. So
You're
whenever
gonna
you
make
see
me
yourself.
look young, wrinkle free, like, don't make me look fat and ugly or.
I don't care how old I look. I just don't want to look fat.
You can over edit. I'm all about,
Yeah.
I'm all about that life.
So that's how you know you're live.
I'm like, I'm all about the Photoshop and everything.
Yes, I love it.
I'm not about the natural. Let's just get that out there.
You can see yourself right there.
I like that.
Yeah,
look
there,
better.
you could have another office above
That's
this,
it.
and then above that, you're gonna build 5 stories. Yeah. That's supposed to be done in the next.
This light show will go on my YouTube channel.
We need to get a bring this too.
Would you believe that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're definitely.
Aw.
We're gonna ask it to be a better Yeah, so if you walk down 2 doors and you look through there, you can see that they have 2 stories, you can see how it is. Is that the harness? Yeah, with the red flag, yeah. I just, they're the owners. Oh, yeah, that's right, there is a tattoo shop down there.
Well, he has like a little spiral and he has a little loft.
Is he good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's different friends.
So you're biased, or you?
No, he is.
Yeah. Can you guys just test on the mics? Like just talk.
Testing.
Does he do cover ups?
Keep going. Just keep talking.
Does he have an Instagram? No.
So you said it's up here at Carlos's, right?
Yes.
Like a buzz. You don't mind if I just plug So now we'll leave it there. And Carlos is.
Hey, bro. Oh, Sunset. What happened to, so you let her take the. All right. Ready?
Yeah. Go.
Sunset. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, did you need me to hit record on this one?
very different.
I think so.
But it's so fun. He's like watching it.
All right.
But he doesn't know how to use it.
Here we go. Where do you want me to put this at?
What's up?
This for my IG live. You want me to just put it up there?
Yeah, but she's using the stand. So I'm gonna
Okay,
put it-
that's okay. I have another one actually.
What's it?
He's like crazy. That's why
Mine is yours. What's yours is mine also. All right, so we can do this. You think we should do it from here, Isaac?
From where?
Right here?
Let me see if it doesn't come out on the. Does it? Screw this tomorrow or something.
Okay,
For this
there we go. Actually,
Okay.
maybe we should do it from there.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey guys, live with Bundle B.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys ever had a podcast? I was working with such experience. I was terrible.
We
Wait,
tried everything.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still working on that. Still working on that. But I was terrible about doing this, and then the mic. Isaac was like, so Isaac. Oh, so our layout. Isaac. So
Okay.
this side is the preview. That's what Isaac is planning on doing, kind of like the preview deck as a DJ.
Okay.
This side where it says program is what's actually going on.
Okay.
So yeah. Right?
Yeah, yeah. No, you're good. Yeah. Let's test the mics. Let's see the audio.
Testing.
Testing. Can we try the middle?
Testing.
Yeah. How close are you gonna get to it? Like, are you gonna be like?
Like this? Is that-
That's fine. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
that's
perfect.
good.
Here you going?
Is this good here? Is this
Yeah.
good?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. You're good.
Hello.
She's just a small town girl living in a lonely world. Do you remember that? Anywhere. My voice has to sound terrible to everybody, but I want you all to know it sounds phenomenal in my head.
No, it does, it's right.
And then, yeah, you guys are good to go.
Tonight's episode is sponsored by Body Armor.
We can smell.
Tonight's episode is sponsored by Body Armor and Jim Beam.
Smell that too.
Hey, hey, Courtney, what was our go-to cheap alcohol back in the day?
Southern Comfort?
Southern Comfort. Oh,
SoCo is Sprite.
yeah, no.
SoCo is the real deal, man.
SoCo is Sprite.
SoCo
That's
makes you
right,
loco.
that's right. I've had some unforgivable and unforgettable nights on SoCo.
Yeah,
Definitely unforgettable.
I have such a good story that has nothing to do with the book, so we need to do it before.
Okay.
Do we cut it in?
Yeah.
Okay. Isaac, you let us know.
Let us know.
You're good.
Ready? Okay. Well, let's get started. Yeah.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur Book Club. So today we're gonna do, where should I look first?
So we will look at, I'm glad we're getting this off.
Where am
So-
I? There's a lot of cameras.
This is like a network television event. So this center camera, if this shows all three of us, then you'll look at that one in the center. That's our watch. Now, if it's just showing you, you're gonna wanna look at this.
This is all complicated. Okay. You got that high tech
Let's
stuff,
go
so.
on three.
Oh, no, that's.
Okay,
No, no.
so I'll look at this one.
Okay, you
Is it, are we ready to go?
Yeah, let me let you know when. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Give me a sec.
We've been live on YouTube.
For all those out in YouTube land, thank you for joining.
Give me one sec. Let me just put this in here real quick.
So that was Zoom link. You said? So okay, cool.
No, you said you're not live.
You are live.
I'm live right now?
I'm watching you.
Oh, I forgot about IG Live. So I can't tell Isaac, like, we'll catch it in post. We'll edit that out.
Her husband's gonna.
I'm all about the lighting.
Did you already tell him?
Yeah, it worked
Because I
out.
think her husband's gonna join on the Zoom. Can you let him know?
Yeah.
It's gonna ask for permission.
Okay.
We sort of keep it.
People want to see you.
And once we got into,
Yeah, I love it.
Exactly.
we had to move.
But you know what? Some people-
Oh, okay, so
And we found this place.
I say.
I love it.
100%.
Yeah, it's either the atmosphere is out. I'm not sure. Maybe both.
Always the alcohol.
Probably both.
Nothing.
But I like open doors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
so eventually we're gonna do like workstations here that way, but that's gonna. That's how we're gonna do putting everything on wheels, so we can like. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I think we, just ask the members,
Yeah. This is probably like the hardest time of year.
But she says-
Like November, December, January. So
It's November, December.
Yeah, like my kids get to see all of that.
Yeah.
And
I gotta get it on.
And everyone just like, I mean, this week.
They're tired.
Yeah.
And then next, but in January. is when it starts picking up.
December, maybe, it's like that second leading up to New Year's Eve. I would,
A lot of
like right
people
before New Year's Eve, I'm like, you know what, guys, we're going out with a bang in 2021.
We don't work for like Christmas.
Yeah.
At least us, for me, we do like that. Because it's fine.
I'm gonna go work for you.
I know.
Because we're here.
Ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, welcome, everybody. Welcome. It's
Welcome
great
to
to
the
be here.
Entrepreneur Club. We have special guest Victoria. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you. So we're gonna be discussing today, birth rate and success rate. Why don't you tell us a little bit, let's start with getting to know who you are.
Okay. You're like, it's up to you guys. If y'all wanna
I
know,
wanna know who you are.
we will.
Who is she? Do you
I
know
will
her?
tell you guys.
What's the tea?
I've got too much tea. That's the problem.
Boiling girl, got it. You're good for it.
Because I'll tell you, even before, and this was like months before, and actually I never even told you this. So I had shot Victoria a DM and I was like, hey, we should do a podcast because we were doing a lot of criminal law and
Yes.
criminal law insurance. That's what I do. Because I saw her TikToks and I was like, dude, this will be dope. Like, there's no way that this will not, even if you don't really get a lot out of it, you will like be super entertained. And I was,
You're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
just a little.
yeah, just a little. So, yeah, but tell us about the woman behind the beat.
Oh, okay. I got you. I'm like, I don't even know where to even start. When we first started, my parents have owned farmers insurance back in the day, 35 years, largest farmer in West Texas for a long time. Then, as things change, you have to evolve around change. And so they decided to sell their farmers agency and then open up Bundlebee because it's a brokerage that offers options, all these different carriers. So instead of using one, we have a bunch of them, like shopping around for the internet, but you actually have a licensed person that can help you out. And we're dealing with more of the customer side than the insurance side. So it's like, if your rate goes up next year and you're like, hey, Victoria, can you shop around? Okay, we just switch you to a different carrier, but we still keep you as a client. Whereas like with farmers, it was super hard because once the rates go up, there was really nothing you could do. So that was our biggest, the hardest time, because we had a lot of clients for, we were dealing with generation after generation. And then me, I said I was never gonna do insurance and come back to El Paso.
So what types of insurance?
Auto, home, are the main bread and butter. That's what we mostly specialize in, and we do a little bit of commercial, but I will say with commercial, it's such a specialized insurance that I tell anyone that if you're looking for a commercial quote, get ready to take your time and really know who you're buying it from, because there's so many different entities that go with commercial. Do you think about the parking garage? Do you think about the signs? Do you think about your electronics? Do you think about all the little things that go with it? So if you are looking at commercial, we do take our time. We're one of the only 5 certified people that can do that, but we aren't gonna be, I'm not gonna be the one that's the chief.
But you guys deliver value. it sounds like,
Yes,
Because
yes.
instead of somebody having to call farmers, and this is crazy, farmers and State Farm, I never will be able to differentiate between the two. But you guys essentially go and find the rate for somebody.
Yeah.
As opposed to them having to call a bunch of different places
Exactly.
and spend their time, which, we're all entrepreneurs here, but we know that time is money. So saving people time is also saving people money.
Well, it's
And
the,
it's a hassle.
yeah,
Yes.
well, the beauty part is like, if Michelle calls it and she says, hey, can you shop my rate? I have all your information. So we shop the rates, you go with Travelers and, I don't know. And then let's say next year, you're like, my rates went up over 20%. Can you reshop it? Well, we have all the information, unless you moved or, anything crazy. You don't, it's like, okay, well, we'll reshop it and we can tell you, okay, no, this is gonna be your lowest right now or not. And so it makes it easier for somebody that you guys don't have to like worry about dealing, having to figure it out. And then what I stress, I'll go on a tangent on this one.
No,
Do
please step
not
up on the soapbox.
Do not buy your insurance online if you are not a licensed professional. And the reason why I say this is that I see a bunch of crappy policies that people just buy because they think it's cheap. And I'm like, you don't know the deductibles. Does it have water coverage? Does it have? And I just see so many poor shorts when it comes to that. So when we are like the online, but we're licensed professionals that can tell you this is what you need, because people don't realize what's the deductible, does it have foundation, what's the water coverage, what's, are you gonna be covered for certain things? Is it an insured policy? And the other thing that with insurance too, is you wanna deal with somebody that's been around a long time that knows the coverages, because a lot of times, even in the farmer's realm, we realize that, guess what? A lot of the agents don't read the contracts. They go a rock and they haven't read, there's a ton of insurance agents and they haven't read the contracts. So I'm like,
And I'll tell you, and this is from personal experience, and my partner Courtney, who's sitting out here in the audience, can tell you that nobody really cares about their insurance until they either get sued or, and then try litigating that in court, because it's not an easy thing to do. So I think that's probably one of the main reasons it's a good idea. And like I tell everybody, I compare the practice of law to hiring an electrician. Can I go home and change a light bulb by myself? Do I need to hire an electrician? Probably not. Can I change a light socket? Okay, maybe I can do that. Can I rewire my own house? No. So if it's gonna be a complex issue with commercial policy, that's right. Lower grade for me, anyway, probably because I'm just gonna say, but that's, yeah.
well, that's like me going on LegalZoom and,
Yeah, no.
it's just like, there's so many different entities.
I just got charged with murder for LegalZoom. Yeah, I'll YouTube it.
So that's what I tell people, I'm like, don't have, like, insurance is the most important part, and, a lot of times people don't realize it, and like I said, until something happens, or when you're buying a house, you've got so many stresses and so many things going on that, you don't think, oh, well, my deductible is like 10,000, oh, water's not covered, oh, and it just.
Yeah, when it's not covered, that's when most people are like, oh gosh, and you know what?
And then they blame the insurance company. I'm like,
Yes.
no, it's not. Your agent sucks that they didn't explain this to you, or it's not any insurance policy. There's not a coverage for everything. And I will stress that to anyone. There's no one policy covers everything. You can add every endorsement you want, but again, it's gonna cost you. So you have to be willing to, and be a little bit more educated on your purchases instead of just being, I want the cheapest policy.
Yeah, no, and we have this saying in law that the most expensive lawyer is a cheap lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that probably applies to insurance coverages too, because in the long run, it's like, you know, do you want to have that peace of mind? And most people, I don't think, and this probably applies to all of our businesses, most entrepreneurs don't really understand what it is they are selling. So for instance, like people come to us with legal issues, we're not, you know, we're getting retained for legal issues and legal services. What we're selling is advice. We're selling, you know, the hope that somebody will be able to continue on doing whatever it is they're doing with their life, and it won't be interrupted too much. So it's not, you know, I think that's something really important for entrepreneurs to remember. You may not just be selling the product that it is that your business deals in, but you're probably, in a lot of ways, kind of affecting someone's life, whether it's selling organic products that don't have any deodorant or whatever the case may be, or coochie soap, or coochie soap.
Right, yeah.
So yeah.
I highly believe that investing for coochie is a good investment.
I think a lot of people.
Yes,
Coochie is
but I
very
really agree with
valuable.
that.
I think a lot of people would agree with and that's why, you know, people, I think sometimes don't have that sort of foresight to see that almost everything that you do is an investment. And I'll tell you what, I'm not saying that I go to the highest end
Yeah.
stores.
No.
Take it all, and like, we go to Walmart, you know, we're there too. So it's not that. It's just that there's certain things in life that do matter a lot. You know, health, cleanliness, insurance, so that you're not, you know, screwed later on, so that people can't attack your personal assets, or lawyers. And so that's like, you know, I think it's good for all of our listeners, whoever's, you know, watching this. Just, you know, think about it. Doesn't mean you have to go out and get the best of everything, but it does mean when you reach those important decision points in your life, it's probably worth taking a look at whether the decision you're about to make will affect the rest of your life. Or whether it's kind of a
Well, and my thing too is like when you buy, I don't know, the general online, and you have a claim and you call in the 1-800 and that stuff. Good luck trying to get a hold of them, you know, especially if it's after a certain time.
And I'll just say, your TikToks are way better than those commercials. Yeah, way better, way better. If you guys have not seen Victoria's TikToks, they are super entertaining. And you rarely find that with someone who actually knows what they're doing as well as can be entertaining. So, I call it.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I tell clients too. I'm like, well, you just call our local number, or they always have my cell number. So I actually had a client.
You give out Selma? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
you're a brave person.
Most
You're
of
a
the
brave,
time, everyone's
hey, you're a
pretty
brave,
chill. Like
brave.
everyone's pretty chill. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I've had the same number since high school, so everyone's got my number. But I'm just like, I'm more of like, I had one of our friends, and she was having an issue after 5 and everything like that. And I was like, okay, we'll take care of it. We'll deal with it right then and there. And she's texting, she's like, hey, it's fine. I got this. But I'm like, try doing that with someone that is like an online company, so you're not gonna get that stuff. And that's what I tell people when things happen.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's local. That can say, hey, and you know, and then my dad too, when he was with farmers, when they had the flood of the century years, I'm like aging myself, but those years and years ago. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
One of our clients, they were out of town, and his mom, like an elderly lady, was stuck in one of the houses. So like, and it was flooded, it just craziness. So he called my dad, and he's like, I need you to go check on the house, I need you to check my mom. My dad was there, he went and checked, he was like, it's like, you're not gonna get that service with anyone else, but someone that's here local that really does care. And I really do care about people and about, you know, especially people that are buying homes. And if you guys are stretched out or anything like that, the last thing you need is a claim that's gonna cost you $10,000 before you can fix something. So.
And the other thing, and especially when it comes to, because I think, and I'll tell you what we've seen, I'm not speaking in conjecture or guesses. We actually see situations where business owners are like one slip and fall away from
Yeah.
having a really bad time and potentially losing. business. So especially with those types of policies, it makes sense to go to somebody who give a pitch. Because
Yeah.
you know what, it's super easy to move into a space that you lease, have all the minimums on your policy, not really understand the coverages, and only paying like $50 a month or something. But then once something happens,
And it will.
you know, it's gonna be an uphill battle. And you're probably gonna be dealing with one of my friends out here in El Paso who practices PI, and those guys are bad. But anyway, with that being said, I think the book was awesome. So what was the book?
So.
No, I do know what I do know what the book was. I didn't, that was actually, no, so it was Bossa. And actually Lynette did quiz me on the book. She really liked it. So it was like, yeah, no, it was awesome.
Your wife's gonna keep you in line.
No, I know. And I'll tell you what, after listening to the book and the things that it said, it actually made me realize a lot about, you know, what Lynette went through specifically, because there are a lot of things that I think, and I'll be honest, look, I want to make it clear, especially for the people that see, I'm not a politically correct person, so I'm not saying these things because I'm like, oh my God, I am on here with 2 women, and if I step out of line, although that may be the case, right? Yeah. Michelle will be jumping over the table. So, but,
People.
yeah, no. I genuinely do need, because, there's things that, like the term bomb entrepreneur, I love that, but, I just never had to go through that. Like, and I think it's sort of a cultural thing, like, guys are sort of expected to be a certain way, and it's almost, you know, just to be very candid, it's almost like guys don't have to care as much about some of the family duties as women. And it's like you're never gonna find somebody, no one's ever gonna come to my office and say, Carlos, your house is dirty. Can you please go clean that thing up? There are dishes in the sink. You're kidding. Like, that just wouldn't happen. And yeah, I don't care what anybody says. That doesn't happen. And you know, I think the sword kind of cuts both ways. There are advantages and disadvantages for both men and women. But this book specifically highlighted some of the things that are probably lost on most people about how it is for women entrepreneurs, and just for entrepreneurs in general too, because there's some really good stuff in there.
Yeah, I think it was a really good book. It really spoke to
It was. I went in being a little bit skeptical. So I'm not a fan. If you guys don't know who T. Moreno is, he's a non-company. I'm not a fan of. I don't like marketing. And so, and I don't like the sort of time how Young Living was acquired. So I went in, not knowing the company, like, I went all in and I got a very well written book. It gives you the confidence to go out there and jump in and forget about like the things that don't matter, you know. And so I think rightly as women, we have a lot of insecurities that we have to deal with, and like you're right, like your health are you know, what are you focusing your time on? And I feel like it gave that push to, you know, just go for it. And I like that about the book a lot.
I did too. And I feel like it was real realistic about, you know, marriage, just everything, how you try to figure it all out. And I did like that she was very real about
I think the proper term for it was rush.
it.
But what I also like is that, and I agree with you about multi-level marketing. I think that's sort of like not great, but I will tell you this. And there's a lot of things that I agreed with, a lot of things I didn't agree with. But I respect a fellow shark and competitor.
Yeah.
When I see one, and she for sure is, and I mean that in the best, most endearing way possible. Because she even talks about how she didn't believe in multi-level marketing. That's like a whole chapter. Like, she was like disgusted. I think the word she used was disgusted.
Yeah.
And so I get it, like, I see it, but I also see that if somebody can create commerce and do it in as ethical as a way of possible, especially with, structures, I think it's okay, and at the end of the day, I say this is maybe sort of an Ayn Rand free capitalist, like the market will figure itself out. So if this person is able to do it legally, then.
Right, it's
Okay.
legal money
Yeah.
in the bank, it's legal money in the bank. And
Yeah.
she's obviously into, it's really kind of what she writes. It was easy to read, it was captivating. I didn't have like the time where I felt like, it was actually, I listened to the audiobook and it was like listening to a
Yeah, it was,
that she was talking about.
it was pretty good. I went through it pretty quick. I just like that she was pretty specific on her examples and what she went through, and I think it was just all around a great book, a great read. Sorry.
Just help out with fellowship. No, I think this was in the first few chapters. She was talking about what she wanted to do when she was older, and she had that. But then she's like, I really knew I wanted to be a boss. And for me, I was kind of at a crossroads with that because, and this is like for years of, I'm sure there's some kind of this point where we were bosses, but to me, it's one thing to want to run a company or an organization, just to want to run it and have power. But I think the most successful organizations are those that are led by the leaders, not bosses. A leader is different. A leader is somebody who is okay with like a leader is the person who's generally going to be the first one doing whatever. It doesn't mean you have to do it every time.
Yeah.
It just means that you have to show the people that are putting some faith in you, that you're willing to, get down, so to speak. So I was kind of like torn. I don't think she meant it quite like I want to just like run the world as a dictator.
No.
But that was something that I noticed. It was just curious to me to because I don't understand it from her perspective. I like how I want to be a boss versus do something specific. It's just an interesting. But I think some people are meant to be leaders or bosses, for example. Some might not.
Yeah.
And so I was just,
Yeah, you're forced to.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
very
you're forced to. So, I also think that, I'm trying to think, it was like chapter 7 or something, which it was like a never stop learning. One of her rules was like, you just never stop learning. And I really related to her on that.
Yeah.
Like, that was the hardest thing for her to do as a leader, to use themselves, be competent, knows their craft, or, whatever. Because she was like, she basically said, I didn't listen to people for a long time because I had a problem thinking that I was wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys have ever run into that. I can tell you, I have. It took me many years, and probably Lynette or Courtney will tell you that still to this day, we'll sit down, or even Isaac will tell you. Shout out to Isaac. Thank you for running the whole broadcast. You're awesome. But like every day in this office is Isaac. How many hours today did we sit down in a meeting room and just have? Like, we were literally in meetings probably 3 hours straight.
Yeah.
And it was a series of like sometimes it's like, okay, here's the thing you go. And make sure that you're following substantive information versus like I'm right. But that was something I got.
There was a ton of stuff that I really did like. I don't even know where to start. It was the comparing yourself to other people. That was a big one. I feel like a lot of people, you get so thrown into social media and everything like that. So I'm all into being authentic and letting people know, like stuff like that. Social media, it's like, it's not real life.
and I struggle with that. Like, I'm like, oh no, like we're gonna have like all this stuff, and I don't. I love that about you, actually, when you post like the real stuff, you know, like the lipstick and.
I'm like, my life's a shit show, so
Yeah.
just welcome to it, and I
Yeah.
think that,
And then obviously work.
well, thank you, but I just try to be real with people, like, hey, it looks like I have to get up and and I think that is, you know, just, uplifting people. I think that was another thing that she said, getting them for really learning from what you're learning to do. Because a lot of times people say, oh, I want to be, I want to own a clothing store, a boutique like you, and they don't really understand the business or, attorney or anything like that. And I think that you have to really learn the business and know. And then she goes into like the insurance, you've got to have the good commercial and good accounting. So there's just a lot of entities that I really did enjoy about it. A lot.
Do you think that we all could really relate to a lot of stuff that she said, just like how you feel when you're kind of like, I feel like I'm neglecting my kids a little bit.
1,000%.
I'm super curious because again, I'll just be real with you guys. I can't relate in the same way that you guys could, because dad's like,
They don't have the money.
and I think this is true. And people may not agree with this. This is just my opinion. I think it's reasonable to disagree. Yeah, I'll say it, Josh. So I grew up without a dad also. So I'll say this. I grew up without a dad. Don't really have a relationship with my mom, either my grandma. So I'm saying this is somebody that was kind of like in this situation. I think it's one thing, like dad issues. Like I'm actually kind of probably better without them. Mom issues are a different sort of thing altogether.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, and this is, I really look at this from a personal perspective because my grandfather, my grandfather and my grandmother. My grandpa, his education stopped around the time of the Great Depression. But he was also sort of a rare case because he actually went to World War II. He came back and his wife had left us. That was very rare.
Yeah.
And so he took over the parental duties. And so my aunts, years, I'm talking 4 years later, and stuff, it was this whole thing. And I felt for them because it was like sort of a different connection. Like I don't have any sort of like inclination to go create a relationship like that. But I think it was there because there's like, I mean, you are in fact part in a very real way of your mother. Like you're grown inside of them, you're birthed by them. So I say all that to say I don't understand it. Like, that's probably, so I'm interested to hear what you guys think about that and relating to that. But you had to.
So I have, the guilt is a mess. And I think when they were little, I struggled with either I want to grow my business or I want to, take them to sports and let them be in activities. So as they started getting older, I realized that I had to grow the business so that I could have employees to let me be a mom, because I did feel like I was falling short on not, for business, just because I'm on the house. So if I didn't take care of activities, I either had to hire a babysitter to take them, or I had to hire like employees to take over that task. And fortunately for me now, I'm at the point where I have enough staff that I don't ever miss a game. I don't miss like any like school activities ever, because that comes first. But I find myself extremely privileged to be at that point where I can actually be a mom first. But I did struggle with it before, and I pushed myself harder and faster at a faster rate than maybe like I actually was comfortable with, because I wanted to. I felt like I was.
I mean, and I think that every day, all day, every day. like, that's when it did speak to me, because you feel guilty because, you know, I wanna do more, like I could work 24/7 and be totally down for that. And then you have your kids and it's like, it just changes your whole life aspect to where I'm still that person that wants to like, you know, run the world, but you know, you have your kids and it's like, I only have them this little for that long. So it's also like, and that's why I give it to any like mom and any mom that's a stay-at-home mom, because it's really the most selfless thing you can do is really be a stay-at-home mom and support your husband and really hold down for your kids, because I mean, I am too selfish to do that because I'm like, I can't. So that's why with me, you know, I sometimes like my husband even says it's like you overcompensate too much to try to, it's like, I'm the room mom, I'm gonna be at every event, I'm the, you know, take a week off and we'll do all these activities, we'll do, because it's like, you know, you just, it's like when I'm at work and I focus on that, but I just want them to always know that, you know, I was around 24/7, even though I worked and I did that stuff, I was always home and made dinner and cooked, cleaned, did all the things that you needed to do and drove you, picked you up, did everything.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you guys think that you have more guilt because you do things that you actually like enjoy and have fun with at work? And because you're so happy with how work goes, it's like, oh my God, I'm so, and I'll tell you this. Look,
1,000%.
yeah, and I feel for you guys because I think society tells mothers, like, you're responsible, for emotional upbringing and a bunch of other stuff that, like, we just, and look, this is not, there are exceptions to the rule, so there's gonna be someone that needs this, hey, dad, I'm not dad bashing, I'm just telling you my opinion. And, so I've never had a day where, like, I love what I do.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, like, I feel guilty sometimes about the amount of time that we spend doing things or whatever, but I don't think that it's in the same way probably that a mom would feel. I'm like the dad that's like, dude, get up, like, you're fine. Let's keep going. And I constantly, this is something there's one thing that my kids will probably always remember about me way after I die. Which is like when they're kind of crying about stuff. Do you have a roof over your head? Like, do you have food in your
Bring the
stomach?
old man.
Do you have exactly? So I like your dad because I understand where he's coming from. Like, do you have a roof over your head? Do you have food in your stomach? Shut up.
Yeah.
And let's go. And that's not because of emotions. Number one, I don't think that society says dads you're responsible for. And you're responsible for different things, because I also think that it's true in the reverse. Like, if a dad is not providing, that looks worse than if a mom wasn't providing. And I'm not equivocating. I'm just saying that's kind of generally how society would look at it.
Wrong.
And so maybe it's a luxury for dads in some cases. It happens to work out for Lynette and I, because I'm probably not as sensitive as she is with the kids.
But that's why you need the balance, you need both.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You need the yin and the yang to say, hey, you know, I'm gonna be, you know, the more coddle one, and then my husband would be like, no. And like for me too, it's just like if I'm doing something like this, I have an activity set before, you know, I go out and do that stuff. I'm always thinking about that. My husband's like, okay, if they stay home for one day, or they don't have an activity, or they don't have that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But it drives me crazy because I'm like, well, they didn't do something today, so I feel bad that they didn't. You know, we've been cleaning the house or decorating the Christmas tree and stuff. So I mean, it's always. But he's like, no, I don't. They don't suffer. They get everything they need. And sometimes too, I feel like I need to have a little bit more of that. So I'm just like, because you know, we're all human, and they get a better life than probably was.
Positive, they have a much better upbringing than they have.
Yeah, so it's like we all have to look at it relative too.
Yeah, and I
I'm
think,
more like Carlos, I'm like, walk it off. You know, like, I don't care what it is. Like,
No,
my
I
stomach
have to-
hurts, and like, just walk it off.
I have to do the sana colita and all that stuff. Like it's like a whole deal. It's like a whole. Well, they're Mexican. They're gonna have
get up and
the
go.
accents.
Yeah.
But I do, actually, right, earlier I was talking to and I don't cook for them. And so sometimes when I'm working late, because then I'm working, I feel like you work 24 hours straight. But if I don't take them food and let's say like I order junk food, then I feel guilty that they ate junk food, that I didn't make food that day. Before coming here, I left them dinner on the table, so I'm still doing it. I'm still feeling that guilt over, like I'm not feeding them properly.
Yeah, and I think, and this is kind of across the board, but I really hope this is right. God, I hope this is right. I think that when kids observe how hard you have to work to get somewhere, that will make a huge impact. And if it's one of those things that will not make an impact on them when they're in elementary school or middle school, high school, but when they're in their adult years, they sort of realize like, okay, mom and dad have to work really hard. And I'll tell you, especially in the last few months, we drag the kids here too, and they're kicking and screaming. Dad, I don't want to help, Mom. I don't want to. And I'm like, hey, you're helping.
Yeah.
And so I think that kids observe stuff like that, and hopefully it means something. But who knows? But I'll probably be very much like dad. I
Doing the lectures?
yeah, no, and I'll tell you what, my personality with my daughter is very kind of like my daughter is like the one that I'm.
And that's my husband, it's like a dad and daughter.
I hope, and I don't want to, I hope my daughter doesn't hear this on YouTube. I hope so bad that she's a lawyer. But because she's just such a Billy Ware. She's like, and it's probably because I like when my kids use bad grammar, I'm like, oh, and now she's doing that to me and stuff. I just really, I hope, Shelby, if you see this, I hope that yeah, so it's it's parenting and being an entrepreneur is hard, but being a mother and being an entrepreneur, always maybe hard to be a dad and being an entrepreneur because there's as much feeling, I think, with it. There's some, but
It's a whole balance.
It's also like a new age thing, because before it was like we had gender roles, right? Where the dad worked and the mom stayed home. And I think we're coming in a time where there's like a lot more working moms than there has ever been. And that's where the guilt comes from, because you're trying to make the house, you're trying to be the stay-at-home mom and the entrepreneur, and part like it's difficult balance. I think that's what it is. But me personally, if I wasn't a mom, so it is like
you have to, and
I have to pull out.
I can tell myself, I'm like, I gotta give myself these 18 years to really hold to do what I need to do. And then after that, like and not that you're always gonna be around, but it's like after that point.
You don't have 18 years, maybe like about 12.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no.
They shut off at 12 or 13.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. I'm gonna be that
Right now,
annoying
they
parent.
still love you.
No, I'm gonna be
Like,
that annoying parent that's gonna be like,
No,
I'll be sleeping next to them.
This literally just happened this week. So there's.
Because you guys have older kids. I haven't
Oh,
been
yeah.
through that yet. I have not.
I'm embarrassed.
Ignorance
My
is
kids are
bliss.
so embarrassed by everything I do.
There's a gap in nomenclature between the generations. So my daughter had gone to a Friendsgiving. My daughter's she'll be 14 and she tells me, she's like, yeah, they have these and their parents were there and everything. They had like some little boys they go to school with, and my daughter gets offended for some reason when I call them little boys and little girls. Like, you guys are little boys and little girls.
Yes.
But she's like, yeah, my friend kind of likes this one, but they're just friends with benefits. And I'm like,
What?
yeah, so my heart drops to my ankle. And I'm just like, what the hell are you saying? She's like, yeah, Dad, they're not like super like involved with each other. But sometimes they like go to the movie side. And I'm like, oh gosh. And I was like, sweetie, friends with benefits in our generation, something completely different than going to the
I'm not
movies with your family. And I was like, I was actually very upset about that. You asked me, I was like, what? what are you talking about? But yeah, I guess that's the price you pay when you have a daughter. So yeah, prepare your husband for that. There's gonna be these, oh man, I think I would actually probably have all black hair still. I have 3 boys, but my daughter, and it's not because of anything she's doing that over worried with that.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about a while ago, I generally feel fairly comfortable with my son out there. And that may not be the right answer, but whatever.
It is what it is.
My daughter, I will probably, I don't picture a day in my life that I won't
Worry.
be concerned about what my daughter is doing.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is different.
Yeah.
It is a different relationship that you have with a father and son and I think too, because, and I always tell my husband this, because I know when she's playing his ass. And then he also knows when he's playing my ass and he's like, and so we go, like, I'm just like, these are fake tears. She's throwing her head against the wall for a reason. And like my son does the same thing. He's like, but it's just funny because you know that gender and I'm like,
Yeah.
only when they can see, but it's all good.
Yeah, no, I think we've been there too, right? With I think my daughter probably knows sort of me and how I'm better than my son. And I think it's really because girls sort of develop that emotional depth early on. So I'm just like, whatever.
Well, you have 2 boys, so is it, well, you,
It's completely different. My daughter's 22 now. It is completely different. I do find the boys easier.
really?
I do find.
They're not, they break shit.
Sorry, Carla.
You're like, don't watch it.
Yeah, like, and maybe it's like in different ways.
Please.
It's
Yeah.
just in different
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
And I have to speak for the boys and I do it like for my daughter. And my boys don't want me around anymore though. They think that I'm doing too much. For
Oh,
everything.
oh,
For
that's
everything. Like they just want to be left alone and say, don't. I'm like, well, come on, like let's have family dinner then. Oh, mom, like you're doing too much. I'm like, you will sit at the table. No.
Do you run into the conundrum of being a young parent with your kids? Cause like we had kids young, I know you had kids young too. And it's like, you're not that far away in age, like you
No.
you're not that far, but they view you as so old. Like we'll be doing stuff and my daughter's like, man, you're really old. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, I'm 35, man. Like, calm down. It wasn't that long ago. And I was like,
My boys do that with slang. Like if they hear me say slang, like they're like, oh God.
oh yes,
They're
no,
like,
that,
"Oh, God,
that's us. Oh,
don't say that.
this is the best one. So lately, my son plays football and stuff in middle school. Anyway, his friends think that that's attractive, right? So,
Of
Jay, your hot
course.
mom is coming. Jay. So she can't like pick him up at certain places. And this even extends to some of the football coaches. One of the coaches, out of nowhere, unsolicited, came up to the car and he's like, what do you say, Miss Garcia, if you need directions.
Oh.
I'm
Oh.
like, bro, El Paso is this big. Right. You got Google Maps, brother. And I don't blame it. Like, I don't blame it.
Were you in the car
would do the
too?
same.
Were you-
No,
oh.
no, that I would
That
go
would've
like,
been like,
bro,
awesome.
what?
I would like,
I don't know if I would have been more shocked or offended if I was in the car, but I was like, it's understandable. Okay, yeah, Lynette, you're hot. I still think you're hot after all these years, honey. I really do. But I think that
Yes.
but I forgot where I was going. You're hot. It's funny now to see that sort of interaction because Jet is always like, Mom, you can't come. Like he doesn't want her to go volunteer at the school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's like,
No, yeah, they hate it.
yeah, they're like,
Actually, the youngest one, they pick him up, like, it's at Wade, so down here, like in Central, and he walks to the alley and has me go to the alley.
Oh my
So that
God.
his friends don't see me. He doesn't
Yeah.
like for his friends to see me.
I'm not ready.
It's the conundrum of having an attractive mom. And I'll tell you this too, that doesn't happen with my daughter. Like, there's no, even if her guy friends say something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's because now that they're old enough to be on social media and stuff, if we post something that's like, oh, hon, you're hot, or something like that, you are so gross. You are disgusting. Or one more, I remember this. She walked downstairs and Lynette and I were up already doing things. I think I was giving Lynette a kiss or something. Not anything.
Yeah.
Pretty PG. I'd say borderline R, like PG. Nothing crazy, but she just walks in and she's like, "Ugh, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, this is also my wife, aside from your mom." And it's just so funny to see them get so like, their stomach like curdles, like, yeah. Yeah, no, exactly, she did say it. Yeah, no, it's, and I was,
You're like, no.
yeah, I was just like, you know,
It is what it is.
yeah.
No, they've also, when it gets, they'll also tell you, well, my boys are older, of course, they're already like 13 and 16, and they, like, certain clothes, they're like, no yoga pants, like, do you have any underneath? No.
Oh,
yoga
yeah,
pants.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like stretchy pants.
Yeah.
They're like, no,
Yeah, can't be doing that,
I'm
mom.
gonna go dress like a nun.
You guys are opening up
I'm
my
like, don't tell me how to dress.
No, it's so true, it's so true. Just wait until you and your husband have like a barely over G-rated kiss or something with their teenagers. Ah, that's so gross.
Stop.
Why would you do that? But you know what? I am saving all of this ammunition because the second that my daughter gets a boyfriend, she's like, oh, you're holding hands. You're disgusting. What are you doing? So I'm gonna flip the script. I appreciate it. She doesn't know this yet, but I will do it. Yeah. Oh, it is coming in hot too. So, but yeah. Before I forget, one thing that I really, she can't be expecting not from me. That's true. But the one thing that I really, this one hit me hard from the way that she said it. She said, we were talking about something with, moms and stuff, perfect lives and everything. And she said, the way that we feel about others is probably more of a reflection of us than it is of them. And that part did hit me hard because I think that's super true, especially with social media. You see people, whether it be entrepreneurs or other people that maybe that's like you have these mini haterisms that go on all the time, and myself included. Like I'm guilty of it too. And I think that she's right. That actually made me think like I was on my way to work when I heard that, and I heard it as I was leaving my house on the side. So I was like the whole word.
Yeah.
And I was having this like little epiphany, like what do I really think of myself to make me feel better?
Yeah.
Did you guys feel like that too with that? Did that line even hit as hard for you guys?
No.
You guys
I
already
mean,
know.
I'm like, honestly, I'm like, no, what's my life?
That one got me deep. Maybe I just got underlying it. I don't know. But that one hit me like deep. Out of the whole book, that.
The one that hit me was when she talks about kind, like, I think it's in the same chapter. Because she goes off and saying like, we need to be more kind to each other because you don't know what that person is going through. And we're all going through something
Yeah.
that's shaping us into into better character, I guess. And a lot of the times that we judge people instead of being more understanding. And of course, in the book, it talks about boss ladies. So she says like we need to stand up with each other instead of against each other. Like we're too old for that. Like we're beyond that point. Like we're not in high school anymore, or at like in a younger age where that type of behavior is okay. We're now grown women and we're all going through things and we should be understanding of each other. And that one was the one that hit me.
No, I think for me, it was when she was talking about when people want to be an entrepreneur and you have the judgment and you have all that stuff. I feel like when you're each person has their own theory about why you're doing what you're doing, and you just have to respect that person where they're coming from and why they don't want that normal nine to five job, and that's okay. I think, people need to be more open-minded and I think that one hit close because I'm just like, it's true. Like a lot of people will assume, okay, you've got all these different jobs. But I do feel like too, you have to be the more, and I don't even know how to phrase it correctly, but the more ability you're able to change, the better you're going to be. And so, especially in this new generation, you have to be able to change. You have to be able to move. And I feel like a lot of times that comes with judgment. So I think that it's just that hit close to home where it was like, okay, people need to be more understanding of each other and stuff.
I think this might have been in that same chapter. Yeah, it was definitely. She's talking about like, it's okay to not be the same as other people. That is a
Yeah.
very important concept in life in general right now, because it is like, we have forgotten as a society that it is okay to not think the same thing as somebody
Yeah.
else and not hate them for it.
Mhm.
It is okay. It's okay to have a disagreement. It's okay to disagree about politics.
But I feel like
religion,
it's this climate too, that if you share one thing that's not what everyone else thinks, then it's like, oh, no. And I feel
Yeah.
like we need to be able to say, hey, and it was funny because we had, my husband and I went with a couple to Ruidoso, like 2-3 weeks ago to go see a band. And long story short, it was like two couples and us, and we were having like a conversation about everything you're not supposed to have, politics, religion, and everything. Did we all agree on everything? No, but we were, we had really good conversations about why we felt this way, why, and no one needed each other. It was like,
Did you guys know each other pretty well?
no, I knew
Really?
one
That's-
couple, the other couple we didn't know the
That's
other
really
couple.
good. That's awesome, because
But,
you don't
you know,
find that often.
No, and we were all able to be like, we respect, what you have to say and what you have to say, but all of us had completely different views on it. And like very deep conversations too. And we were all like, wow, like at the end of that, we were all three of us, all six of us were just like, it was a really good conversation. Like, we saw each one's perspective where they came, why they thought the way that they thought. And it was just like, people would only have that mindset to do it. And I don't, and my thing is that too, I'm at the age where I don't think I'm gonna change your mind or your mind. So just let me be.
And I think we shouldn't want to change.
No,
each other's
you
minds. And it's
shouldn't.
okay to just like say what you think and hear what somebody else thinks and not have to do anything about it.
No, and it's not
Like,
your
that's okay.
job, it's not your job to change someone.
Yeah.
You have to each person has the right to be whichever way that they want to do, whether you agree or not. And I feel like a lot of times people want to push whatever agenda, and it's like, and especially with COVID and all
Yeah.
this stuff. So I'm like, it's okay for us to have different opinions.
Because they're pretty blown up with the pandemic and politics, it's everybody has to.
And it's so crazy, and maybe this is kind of a tangent, but I think it'll be something that hurts some small business owners. Like we were just talking about COVID a little while ago, and variants and stuff. Yeah, I'll tell you that I am the last one that's in favor of a lockdown or any other restrictive measures. And it's okay for people not to have that opinion. It's okay for people to think that everybody, I personally, and I'll tell you this is very true. I almost sacrificed a 17-year Army career not to get the vaccine. I ended up getting it very begrudgingly. But that's okay for people to also get the vaccine and think that like we should get the vaccine. What I don't think is okay is for people to demonize someone else for their viewpoints and their thoughts. And I'll say this, and this is probably pretty controversial, that extends to some very fringe viewpoints as well. I think that censorship is generally a very bad thing, even if it's about really bad stuff. Okay, I think that it's a terrible thing. The only thing that can stop repugnant information is better information. And so we should do that, but we have this society right now who's so focused on like crucifying somebody for just, even if it's not a belief that they hold deep,
Yeah.
they could make a statement. And it's something that they may think is sort of like whatever. And then they know they're getting like fired at from all sides.
But it's on social
Yeah.
media too, like people
Yeah,
are very,
you're right.
they're not gonna tell you shit to your face, F you, like, I don't agree with your views or anything like that. It's like when you're on social media, it's
Yeah.
like, you don't know what the hell you're talking about and all that stuff. So I don't, and that's why too, it's like I tell it, I'm just more for everyone. Like, let's just let everyone be and, you know, especially small businesses and everything, and then look at what we're now.
But I'll even take it back, because I think we're all like around the same age.
Yeah,
So I'll take it back to when we were kids. Okay, like we didn't have social media generally, and if something happened, like Lynette and I did not grow up in great circumstances.
Mhm.
Colorado, not the greatest schools, kind of roughly. And if someone said something, it was like, all right, bro.
yeah,
And I think that's also an okay thing. That's not a popular opinion. But I think that that was an okay thing because it created a filter and a boundary with something where they wouldn't have had that. Social media has negated that. And it's okay. And people are just like, God, I hope no one takes this out of context, but like there was usefulness in bullying back then because it created a filter and barriers and a backbone and all these other things that we don't have now. Now, and I'm guilty of it too. Anti-bullying campaign, sure, that's a good idea, but it's really a bad idea. It's really a bad idea because when people don't have any boundaries, they will step over other people's boundaries, and then society just becomes a shit show. I hope I don't lose any business. That's my genuine belief. Yeah,
I know we don't have like, there's like a certain extent right to the bullying, but I also believe that to a certain extent it also builds character. Not everybody has been nice to you in life. But help you build character and focus on like the people that do matter or the people that are important. And it's always like from the bad things that we learn how to do better.
yeah. No, and I think that it's just, it helped, I think they're saying now too, that we fight the battles for the kids and all that stuff,
Yeah.
and they need to learn how to do some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's totally true. Like, it is okay for kids to have conflict. on
And
the
they need to
playground
figure it
and
out.
stuff, and figure it out themselves. Like, parents don't need to be like, what's going on, guys? Do we need to come in?
And
here
I'm guilty, like, I'm a helicopter, I'm like,
Yeah,
who's that bitch that hit you? Like,
Yeah.
I will be, I am
Yeah.
that ghetto mom that like, I wanna know, and I'm like, and I will, and it's like, I have to, step, like, my husband's always like, step back,
Yeah.
so that's we're gonna be both. I'm like, cause then I'd be the over cuddler, the one that had to know everything, and I think, there's a balance, and you have to know the long term, you have to let them fight it and figure it out themselves.
yeah, yeah, and it's, I'll share one last story about my fringe parenting stuff. So this was about probably a year ago, on Snapchat, my daughter had gotten really like nasty rude message from this kid. She's in 8th grade.
Yeah.
It was like, "You're be all kinds of stuff." And so, like, she tells me how she's all upset. She told my son about it. So it was, "Dad, if I see that guy, I know I'm supposed to have to Jet, you will not get in trouble. But I don't think, and Courtney and I actually have a debate about this because I genuinely, and I'll tell you this, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, while at the same time, there are consequences for those actions. And that is an okay thing. There are consequences for those actions. I'm not. But I am saying that it's okay to be fringe. It's okay to be different, which I think this book had. That was very much a thing. It is okay to be different.
Yeah.
It's okay not to be the mom that's like, I'm gonna stay at home, be in the kitchen, house is gonna be clean all the time. And I want to meet the family with like more than 2 kids that can keep it clean. I swear, we will spend 3 hours cleaning the house and it will not. What? You have a stay-at-home wife, and there's nothing wrong with that.
But your wife will sit
So,
down.
I'm saying specifically in this at home, yeah. It is a gig. That is an okay
That's a
thing
job.
too. Like during COVID, a lot of people worked. I don't see your point, Counselor, but I will tell you, that is my point. My point is it's okay to be different and have different lifestyles. That's all I'm saying, is like, it's okay to be a stay-at-home mom in the same way that it's okay to say, I'm gonna dedicate a lot of time to my career. They're both okay.
Not if you're.
But- We'll agree to disagree on it, but that is like, yeah, no, no, so, and I like I think both of us see where we're coming from, even though we have, this is what we call a heckler in the crowd. Security, can you please remove this man? No, but that is literally the theme of the book, that it is okay to be a different kind of person and not have like these little innocuous things be things that you're judged on. Like, it is okay, it's just as okay to be a homemaker as it is to be somebody with a career, and vice versa. And that applies to men nowadays too. It's okay to be a man with a career or a man that stays at home with his kids. And I know that a lot of guys that stay home, that they're, they're broke, and she's supporting you with, but it is just as okay. It's okay if you can play like a productive role.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, and I think people, candidly, people get wrapped up in thinking that something is either wrong or right, or good or bad, rather than just different. Like the house cleaning thing. Like the house cleaning thing is not good or bad, wrong or right. It's just something that's different that comes with the territory if you're doing something.
Yeah.
My kids are older, our house is clean, but our living room, I don't like. Our house. I'm like, don't touch, this is our mess, that's where our mess is at. You're right, like, it's never gonna be all together, and, you just kind of keep going and you focus on like the important, like, if you want to work, go ahead and work, pay attention to work, and you can balance everything. And not everything has to be perfect, like, work for me doesn't have to be perfect, and I have to let go of that perfection vision that I had of my work mode and my workplace, and and focus more on being a mom, but also letting go of like that perfect mom that cooks and cleans and has like an organized laundry, that's not going on, and that's okay.
Do you guys think, as women entrepreneurs, do you guys think that they're like sort of with the cultural shift with women and then having their own careers and being entrepreneurs, that so there's like something that's lost, and this is really dangerous territory. But like one of the things that has been gained through all of this is that I think, so you guys aren't that far removed from generating that word like you are saying. Like my grandmother, she stayed at home, she cooked and she cleaned, and her house was spotless all the time. That's probably why I was a fat little Mexican kid. I never had to like do anything. When I go to my grandparents' house, it was like, here's the, and it was all really like delicious, not super nutritious food. And like everything was always, but like the second a mess happened, it would be cleaned up. Now my grandma would be clean up, she'd be telling me, but it would always be cleaned up. You guys are not that far removed from that generation, but do you think that one of the things that I guess women have had to sort of realize or understand or analyze is that with being an entrepreneur and being a provider, there are different responsibilities. And so that alleviates maybe some of the emotional toll that it might take from being a mom and feeling guilty, but it also makes you realize like, okay, I'm actually doing this, I'm responsible for more of like a provider role. I don't know if I even asked that the right way because it was kind of a scary question to ask. Does that like, do you think you guys have more control now? Do you think women generally have more control now over their lives than they did a few years ago, just because
Oh, I
they
think
are?
so. And I think too, because one thing too is that in a lot of households, you need both people to work. Like, that's just, you know, the facts, like, it's not.
Yeah, not like 50 years
Yeah.
ago when it, like a hamburger was 5 cents.
Exactly, so I think that's why too, it's like, not,
And
Yeah.
well, yeah, it's like, well,
I
we
think
both have to
inflation,
work, yeah.
inflation, economic factors have kind of like.
So it's kind of like, well, you know, we both have to do it. Now it's kind of, if you're able to have that option to stay home and, you know, and be with the kids and not have to work, it's a luxury because a lot of people don't have that opportunity now.
Yeah.
I actually want that opportunity, but my situation is different, so I am the provider and I am the mom, and it is hard to balance that. It's because both responsibilities are on. And so it's a lot to carry from like running a business and being responsible for, I hire a lot of like high school girls, so it's teaching them how to work, teaching them to be professional. So I have a responsibility to them there. And then I have a responsibility to like provide for my kids and then still be a mom on top of that. So I feel
Yeah.
like for me, it's all the roles, it's what, like one role is always pulling. Because I feel like I can only always have two, like together. I mean, there's one falling apart for some
Yeah.
reason. Like if you know, if I'm providing, and the business is good, you know, then I feel like my mom like this is good. But you know, and so it's always just two of those. So it's hard to find like the balance between all three of them. But I feel like those three are my roles, and they are hard. And I feel like Victoria's right. Like you do need two people to run the household.
It's like, and you know, and I will, like, when you're in a marriage too, I will say, as much as like I give my husband shit, like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm doing all this stuff and you're not doing crap. When he like, if he's out of town or something, I'm like,
Where are you?
I'm like, like, he does do a lot more than I give him credit. And I feel like a lot of times that's when you need, you know, I give it to you to be able to be that one person that has to be the disciplinary, the provider and everything. It's really hard because it's like when you have two people, at least you can say, okay, you're going to handle this, and you're going to handle that. And tag team, but when it's one, I mean, it's something will fall because it's just too much. I mean, something falls with me and I don't have all that responsibility.
How hard is it for you guys to balance a relationship, like a romantic relationship, mom and entrepreneur?
That's like,
I'm really curious about that. I know it's kind of a landmine question.
Right. I wouldn't know. I've been single for 8 years, so I've been here. I am my romantic
There you go.
partner,
There you
so
go.
we're fine.
Yeah,
But I don't think that I would have it.
yeah, it's hard. I mean, what do you think?
I think what happens is a lot of times, and if you have kids, you will understand and you're in a marriage, they control, you get sucked into kid life and work life and everything like that. And then, you know, it'll be a couple weeks will pass by and then you're like we haven't been on a date or we haven't done, you know, so.
Couple months.
Well, and it does, because it goes so fast, and then it's like, oh, like, and like I said, with my husband and I, it wasn't like, it makes me realize, because when we went to Ruidoso a couple weeks ago, we talked the whole time from El Paso to Ruidoso, you know, about important things that we needed to discuss, but we just didn't have time. You know, you have the kids around 24/7.
Do you ever feel like, when you actually do get that alone time, like Lynette and I have gone out to dinner and it's been like talking about.
Well, and
it's
yeah.
like, and we try not to,
You have to.
but it's like, yeah. And then, I mean, and I'll tell you this, my mom was, with the exception of this, I guess, with my sister's father, you know, she was single, she was, you know, my grandparents were around to raise me, but she did like both roles too. I can't even imagine, like, it's gotta be hard as an entrepreneur. And my mom was an entrepreneur. She worked at a place. But I don't even know, like, how do you do it? It's hard.
Yeah, I think but I made that decision like very consciously. Like I decided that, you know, I wanted to be single until my kids were big.
Yeah.
And
You don't wanna
that
bring
was a very-
guys.
No, I didn't want to do that. I just didn't want to do that. And then I just wanted to give them their mom a title.
Yeah.
And I figured, like we said, until like 12, you have to study like 12. And so
Yeah.
I said, I have a few years and they go by so fast that I just want to dedicate it to them.
Yeah.
And then there's plenty of time afterwards. I feel like there's single men, all the time.
Yeah, men, and all,
Right.
And I think,
men are gonna be men for as long as history.
Forever.
For the eons.
Right.
and I think like.
And I mean that in the most endearing way possible. Some guy's gonna see this.
Yeah.
Man basher. I'm done after this one, guys.
No, I just think too, like with my husband and I, we are very lucky to where both of our parents are still married. Like they, we had those relationships. So I think the biggest thing that I took away from my parents is that it's like you always put your spouse first. Like as much as you have going on, you guys are the nucleus of the family. If you guys are falling apart, everything around you is falling apart. So that's always in the back of my head too, when it's like, we haven't spent time together, we haven't done this, or we haven't done that. That's when I have to be like, okay, like check yourself. We have to like rewind and stuff, because
That's interesting when you say that, because I didn't grow up like that. And I agree with you. Lynette and I have been together 15 years. And it probably took me 14 to learn. That one lesson. And because I genuinely didn't know.
well, because they leave, like you guys have the older kids that are like, okay, and then it's like, I don't want to go back and be like, oh, like we have to figure each other out all over again.
Yeah.
Like do we
What
like
do we
hanging
do
out,
again?
like, and so it's like, so as much as like I feel bad, sometimes it's like, okay, well, we're gonna, be a little hungover the next day. I have to also be selfish enough to say, you know what, you guys are gonna live your own lives, and me and dad have to be good,
Yeah.
I did. I told my kids, I was like, but as soon as you guys like maybe mom on fire.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say all of them.
Every single one. We'll have, let's see.
Make sure you have good credit, make sure.
In a few years, if we're still doing this here, we'll have single men episode. And we'll have entrepreneur suitors from
Yeah.
all over West Texas, Eastern New Mexico, Eastern Arizona. Come on in, send in your application. We'll screen you at the law firm. We'll run the background check. Come on in.
Horizon's got like that.
Come on in. Yeah. Courtney, what do we charge for something like that at the law firm? So we're gonna, for Michelle in a couple of years here, we're gonna have a podcast where we invite all single men from Eastern New Mexico. No, fuck it, the whole country. All right.
Okay.
They send an
Oh,
application.
yeah, all of them,
We'll do
right?
the people map search and do the background check and everything. I'm thinking, what, $20 a head? 15, because it's Michelle. And so we'll get them here. And if we close the deal, so if you get married to one of them, that's where it gets us. We'll do the prenup, we'll do the no. But no, that's yeah. It's a great business move.
Yeah,
It's a
the
great
more
business.
money you pay, the better your odds are.
There you
Oh,
go.
yes, that's true. We'll have tears.
There you go. There you
And we
go.
take crypto.
Yes. Yeah. For those of you in the NFT space, if you want to get whitelisted, it'll cost you a full ETH.
Let's go. And we're taking bids on which one she'll select.
Oh.
That'll be a good one.
I love it.
We're
Yeah.
gonna go take that.
But in all seriousness, the book, this was a great book.
But
It
I didn't hear
was,
nothing about the book.
It was a fun book, and it for me, made me realize some stuff that I probably overlooked. When I just kind of like, so you guys know this little story about that. We were about to open a salon the night before COVID hit. We were about to close on it. We were gonna open a salon. And I had to go to Colorado to take a farm there. And that week, COVID hit, and we didn't end up getting into like finish everything. It was a godsend. Oh my gosh, yeah. No, we would.
I
I
shut
would.
down my partner.
Oh, yeah, I would have been outside. I don't even know how, like, you had the ingenuity as an entrepreneur to get to do something like that, because I think it's different when you've got your foot on it. But,
The first thing we learned from COVID is it's important.
yeah,
mhm.
no, totally. totally. And like, just, I respect, kind of, like, I understand a little bit more about some of the struggles that we had, like, some of the small arguments that we had about what to do, how to open the business, how to run the business. I'm like, just do it. I don't think it'll take much time to care. And so
Just hire somebody.
yeah, no, and so I understand now a little bit more about how, probably more about the emotional aspects.
Because that's what this book is. It's not gonna tell you like how to draw up a business plan, how to do accounting, not even how to do marketing. It's more of like the psychological feeling behind it of having a fear and, you know, letting that fear hold you back. So it's very motivational book that helps you find like the confidence to keep going.
Yeah.
So,
I'm glad, I'm
Good
glad.
selection. We gotta do another podcast with you and Michelle, a
Oh,
far-fetched
TikTok.
podcast.
TikTok.
Oh, so you know what? At some point, in fact, I told Michelle, I was like, I don't care what we do, I just want a TikTok. with you. I want, yeah.
A good one.
I don't know why, but the song, it's a Dr. Dre song, product album.
I'm telling you, they
Well, those are my jams, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I know,
The
our
first
kids would probably be
video-
like, you old ass people, who's Dr. Dre?
It was right before COVID.
Yes.
Right before COVID, we did a gangster video. It was like a big long time.
Yeah.
No, oh my gosh, yeah.
Something like a long time.
We gotta figure out TikTok, but thank you guys.
I'll get
like-
the creative minds.
No,
working
yeah.
to Figure out something.
No, totally. You are a genius with the TikToks. Before we go, please tell everybody where to find you and what your handles are on social media.
I'm like, well, most on Instagram, it's Queen Bee _TX. Facebook, Victoria Dominguez Fon. LinkedIn, the same, and TikTok, it's Queen Bee TX too. So you guys follow. I need all the followers I can get.
What about your website business? Or your business
Bundle
website?
B, www.bundlebeeinsuranceagency.com. So you can also get a hold of the site if you need quotes or anything. We're also here. The whole point of it is to make insurance fun and to get you guys, it's an important thing to know your product and to know about insurance, but I try to make it fun to not bore you guys.
Awesome.
Oh, it's very entertaining.
No, it is. And if I could, I want to close by mentioning someone that's a close friend of mine, and we're going to be doing some really cool stuff here. So for anybody who's in El Paso, we have, I think it's a legitimate superstar. He's a WWE legend, luchador legend. His name is Cita de Oro now. It was Gata when he was with WWE. But he is going to be the first major celebrity collab that Farfetch Labs does. And we're super happy because we were friends with him long before Farfetch Labs ever happened. And it's just really cool because it's somebody in El Paso who grew up in the projects, grew up in house, really followed athletic. He was a traditional, he was like a, I don't want to say a real wrestler. He was a, like an actual athlete wrestler, like did traditional wrestling and then transitioned to, you know, the showmanship wrestling, like professional wrestling. And he's an entrepreneur now. He left the WWE and is doing his own thing. Really a big influencer in helping the Hispanic community, and he's from here in El Paso. And we have some gems here in El Paso that I hope people don't sleep on because El Paso is awesome. I'm a huge fan, and so we're super excited. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
right.
Awesome.
And
Good.
we'll see you all back here,
December 30th, right?
December 30th. No, I believe
Yeah.
it's the 20th.
No, 28th. You're right. 28th.
Yes, today's the
Today's
30th.
the 30th. Yeah.
Like,
Today, so it'll be December 28th, and it'll be a ton of fun. So
Yes, and that's actually gonna be with a neurologist that trains MMA fighters to increase their speed. And so he is a local legend, and I think you guys will be excited to meet him. He has his own book, but we're actually going to be going with another book and. But
While you're looking that up, did you see the book that I did last month was How to Be Friendly?
Yes.
There was a shout out that Lindsay T. Moreno did to it. She said when she was a little girl, she was like, she wanted to be a boss, and that neither one her friends or helped her influence people. So shout out to Lindsay T. Moreno. That little reference.
so it's The Power of Habit that we're going to be reading with Dr. Roman Velasquez.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys for having me on. I had a lot of fun with you guys, so.
Thank you. Awesome. Cheers. I don't know. That was a good cut, bro.
So.
Thank you, everybody on IG Live. Wow, we had, yeah. No, one more.
Learned so much about you guys.
I tried, I'm gonna have to look, I'm like, you know. Just ask. I wanted to get one of the three of us.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. We can actually, Isaac, do you think you can get a picture of the three of us really quick?
It's like,
Dang, we did a marathon, huh?
well, cause we were going, I mean,
Dude.
it's all good. That's when you know you're doing a good.
Yeah.
I had one where it was like pulling teeth, and that was the hardest one I ever did.
Oh my gosh. Do you do all your own production in-house? Like you do
Everything,
Oh my gosh.
all the everything.
You know what you need?
What?
You need an Isaac. We would be lost without Isaac. He does our production, video. I mean, I'm telling you.
No, I do. Yeah, Robert.
Is the light good here? Do you want me to angle it over here?
I can give you the mic.
Cool. Thank
Wait,
you.
did you just take one?
I know.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
I got you.
Yeah, there it is.
Woo! That was a
I
good
never
cut.
like that. That's what my friends like. They're like,
I thought that whole tequila bottle was gone. Like when I came, it's all clear, I'm like, holy shit, you guys must be loaded.
That's how I know. She's like,
I don't put that.
Dang. that's-
well, or I hate when they like, that one from was and everyone was so no, I'm like, no, everyone else is like, and you look.
Hey guys, this is gonna be good.
No,
I'll call
Thanks
you.
for coming by.
and you know that they edit, like, it's sort of like my mom, or like someone that doesn't, you know, and I'm like, or my husband, but it's terrible. But I'm like, no.
Cheers, guys.